Hello and welcome to the Cold Coffee Club, a podcast brought to you by Houston Moms. We're here to give you a little bit of that mom-to-mom connection, fun, and conversation amidst all the chaos. Join us as we take a break from doing all the things and explore the wide spectrum of this crazy motherhood role. We'll interview fun guests, talk about cool grown-up topics, laugh, share, and grow together. So go ahead, reheat that coffee, and put your feet up. Here we go.
Good morning. Welcome to the Cold Coffee Club. This is Ashley.
Hey, this is Jenny.
We are back, and today we are talking about something really fun. We're talking about sports with our kids, being sports moms, all that good stuff. But of course, before we get started, we are going to spill the tea. Jenny, do you have any tea for us this week?
Yes. My tea is that I just feel like I've self-sabotaged myself a little bit, which is that with school starting again, I had put off a bunch of things for when the kids went back to school. So I could do things on my own, like doctor's appointments and errands I needed to run. And I just really procrastinated. And now I am running around like a crazy person trying to do a whole bunch of things in a very small window of time. Yeah. I'm so busy right now. I just feel so overwhelmed. Now, thankfully, I'm overwhelmed without having two additional people in the car needing things. But man, have I set myself up for I have just a lot to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I think I can't decide if I made the right move or not, waiting till the end of the month to get everything done. But thinking back, I thought man, maybe a couple of these things I could have done with the kids and not had all of my appointments in the same calendar week and working and, managing regular life. But we're okay.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. What about you? How's it going over there?
I have air conditioning.
Oh, so I'm so worried. I really thought about it several times.
Yes. So the day we recorded our last episode, they did come that day, thank goodness. And it was they were kind of jerking around a little bit, oh, well, I don't know if we can. I was no, you can do this. Do it.
I just think in Texas, in Houston at this time of year, I don't know that this can be we'll get to it when we get to it. This needs to be a law.
Yeah, exactly.
People have air conditioning.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
If you live in Minnesota, it's not a requirement.
It's fine. You'll be fine. Yeah, it was a journey. We made it though, so that's good.
It's like you crawled to the finish line to get in this house, because even you got in the house and it still was but still no, you still aren't gonna.
Yep. I'm just happy to be here. Yes. I'm just trying to stay positive. Yes. But no fails this week, so that's good.
Well, that's amazing. Yes. And I do know we were talking about cream and sugar. I know you have a really amazing cream and sugar.
I'm so excited. So excited.
I saw some photographs and it looked amazing.
So the Cook Shack in Katy hosted Houston moms for a night just to get to try all of their amazing food. They just opened that location and we got to try everything and it was so good. So we met the owner, Mark Rogers, and he is the nicest person ever. And he was just listen, here's all our stuff, try everything. We had margaritas, which if you go, you have to try the bougie margarita. It's like a frozen blended margarita with a shot of Chambord, I think, on the top.
No way. Yes. I love Chambord. Oh, I saw the pictures. I thought it was sangria, but it's Chambord.
See, so good.
I want one.
Yes. And then, so they have amazing chicken sandwiches, chicken in general, and then they have levels of spiciness. And so we tried a milder version, and then I was you know what? Let's step it up a notch. So we got to try the Texas hot. It was good, but I can't imagine eating an entire plate of it. It was just whew, okay. Yeah. Megan and I, we had lip sweat a little bit. We were okay, that's intense.
Check that box. You did it. You checked that box.
They have another notch that people challenge themselves to try, and it's the AMF. And the owner said he tells his children it means adios, my friend. but the MF does not mean my friend.
Yeah.
And it is.
If you are listening with little ears around, yes, it does mean adios, my friend.
It means adios, my friend. But if just based on the Texas hot, I was like, I do not want to try that at all.
That's
like
funny.
I would never do that to myself. We got to try their kale salad, which was just, there was just so much happening in that salad. I was just like, I could eat this every day. It was so good.
So
yes. So it was delicious. And everything their ribs are literally falling off. Like we were trying to share the ribs and it was like falling off the bone, like passing it around. I was like, oh no, this isn't going to work. And I just found out there's a location in Spring, which is where I just moved. So I will be there. You will see me there often.
Okay.
Delicious. So thank you again to the Cook Shack. We loved it. We had a blast, lots of laughs and amazingly full tummies. We tried to take pictures before we ate and we got distracted. So all of our pictures were like, everyone suck it in. We ate so much.
I love that.
Yes. So really good time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so like Ashley said, we are talking today about sports, having our kids in sports. And Ashley, did you play sports growing up? Like, what is your athletic background?
Yeah. So early on, I played softball, but I was in the outfield. So I would like lay down and pick up dandelions because 6, 7, 8-year-old girls were not hitting into the outfield. So I ate sunflower seeds and picked dandelions. But then I was a volleyball player all through middle and high school and a year in college. I ran track forever. It was not fun. I only liked it because I would win. And if I didn't win, I was like, why are we here?
Well, I mean, winning is a fun thing. But
it is.
Yeah.
Yes. What about you? Did you do sports?
No, I did not do sports. Like, not at all. That was not my gifting. I was the musical child. I was the artistic and musical child. My parents said that it was just very clear early on that I was going to really tend to one direction.
Yeah.
It was just, I think with certain kids, you just know.
Yeah.
You just kind of
And
know.
you don't like being hot.
No. If I was going to do one, it would be an indoor
like swimming,
which I'm going to tell you, like my kiddos, like as of right now, like the sports my kids are taking right now. Jack has done gymnastics. He's not in it right now. He's done taekwondo. Both of those are indoor things. Yeah. And Ellie is in dance. So like those are kind of our main sports. Now he is about to start soccer, which I am like gearing up for because I'm like, ugh. But I'm like, it's an hour, like we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I, even as a sports mom, prefer to be in the AC.
Yeah.
I know I can't do this forever, but as long as I get to choose for the time being, we're just going to gear ourselves towards the inside sports.
Yes.
Do your kids play anything? Like, are they doing anything?
We are gearing up for 3 people starting baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. They only play on Saturdays and it'll literally be like we'll be there all Saturday basically.
Okay.
But they're all in one location, which is the perk. I'm like, that's good.
Just run around.
Yes. But I'm not looking for it stays hot here. It stays hot.
Till like November, December.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm a little nervous. I'm already like planning, like, should I get that little mesh thing that you put around your chair? Like it's like a cube and you just zip it up and like no bugs get you. I'm wondering if I can like put a fan in there and then like
I bought the fan that goes around your neck.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look for that. I want like a mister. I just want to be like alone in my little cube. I love socializing, but I feel like in that heat and in the sun, I'm like, no one talk. I'm here to support.
We don't need to chat. Just
not at all.
Clap lightly
not
for
at all.
your children.
And I would like wine at baseball too. So I think I'm gonna set that up.
It's gonna be great. You just get yourself set up. If you're gonna be there all day, you need to just like show up with what you need to make your day successful.
Yep. I'm already working it out.
Good snacks. Yes. Yeah. Well, and we talked today. We have 2 interviews for you today with 2 coaches. And our first one that we're going to play for you here in a second is with Allison Merrill, Coach Allison Merrill. Allison is a volleyball coach. She has been a varsity volleyball coach for 15 years. She's been at Tompkins High School since it opened in 2013. Tompkins has made the playoffs for 5 consecutive seasons. They won 2 district championships. They've been to the regional quarterfinals twice. Last year, Tompkins was the undefeated district champs, and they finished the season 36-5.
Wow.
This year, they are off to a terrific start, beginning the season 13-1. They are currently the top ranked team in the Houston area, according to the Houston Chronicle and Vibe magazine. In 2017, Allison was named the Greater Houston Volleyball Coach of the Year.
Wow.
But she does all of this while raising 4 children.
Whew.
So,
Goodness.
anyways, we had a really great talk about just like the sport of volleyball and also just raising kids who play sports. So let's go ahead and roll that interview.
Awesome.
Here's Allison. All right, I am here with Coach Allison Merrill. Allison is volleyball coach right now at Tompkins High School. Allison, how long have you been at Tompkins?
10 years.
10
the
years.
day that it opened. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, wow. Has it already been open 10 years?
Yeah.
Golly.
Isn't that crazy? It's nuts. It's nuts.
Okay. So, and on top of being like an amazing volleyball coach, you also have 4 children. So what are their ages? And like, tell me like what's going on over there at your house.
Yeah, absolutely. Brooklyn is my oldest. She's 15. Drew is about to be 14. Okay. Adeline is 9 going on 40.
Yeah.
And and Mason is 7. So we got a whole lot of hormones going in this house and a whole lot of play and controlled chaos. Is the best way to describe what goes on in our house.
So that's 3 girls and a boy. And does everyone play sports? Is everyone in something?
Yes. Brooklyn, Drew, and Adeline are all volleyball.
Okay.
Addie has a little interest in tennis. So we're going to explore that a little bit. Mason loves to work out. Like that's his jam. We haven't found for sure like what he was going to want to do. We've tried soccer, we've done baseball, we've done basketball. And he loves all of them. He's not drawn to one specific thing. So until he kind of shows real interest in one over the other, we're just going to keep shuffling them through and see what he wants to do.
I love that. And I love like, that's kind of what we're talking about today is like kind of helping your kids like find where they grow, if that's where their heart is. I mean, I am not an athletic kid. And like, I kind of found, I talked about like, I'm one of 3 girls and my 2 older sisters like did like some like kid team sports when they were little, like, their little youth soccer team or whatever. I never, ever played a team sport. And I asked my mom once, like, why was I not ever in that? She goes, honey, we just knew. I was the music kid. Right. I did like piano and choir and theater. And she was like, we just knew. And I was like, well, thank you.
I love that though. I love that.
So I guess I want to talk a little bit about volleyball. And I know that's kind of your whole world, but if a parent when thought like, oh, like my kid seems like they kind of looks like they have some knack for that. Like how old should a child be when they start playing volleyball? Is there something where you think they're too young for it or kind of what is the age range?
I mean, I think growing up in Houston, everybody wants to put their kid in something really early and like lock them in. I'm a big fan. I'd try everything in elementary school, kind of see what you're drawn to, what are their passions, and then kind of guide them maybe in that direction. I think with volleyball specifically, you need to try it out in elementary school. You need to kind of see like, put them in a camp, put them in a clinic, put them in, just some different things. Honestly, play in the backyard with them. If they're constantly saying, Mom, will you pass with me? Dad, will you pass with me? Then that kind of gives you some ideas of like, they really kind of like this. Let's explore this option. So, I would definitely say elementary school is a great time to try it out. I would not get into like super serious about volleyball, like hardcore, like this is what you're going to do. You're not going to do anything else. I think you've got to be more well-rounded than that. Try a bunch of different things because you don't know who's going to grow, who's, like what their skill set is, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
try a whole bunch of things in elementary school. So,
Okay. And then how late is kind of too late to start the sport? Like, is it,
yeah.
if you, I'm
I mean,
sure like if you're a high school coach, like you can't have like a ninth grader that's like, I would like to be on the team and I started playing 6 months ago. Like, is that?
yeah. I mean, you kind of have to gauge your child's athleticism.
Sure.
Because volleyball is skill based, but also very athletic. And so if you've got a kid who has never touched a ball before, but they're just oozing athletic ability,
Sure.
we can teach the skill. They're going to be behind, but we can teach the skill. So, I mean, too late. I mean, I think again, try things out, an I-9 league, or, a prep academy, or, just get an idea of like what they're into in elementary school. And then if they really are liking it, I would say go the club route, like 6th grade. Because if you wait until 7th grade to like say, I really love volleyball, it's going to be a hard road for a little bit. And if they love it, then they can catch up. But, we all want our kids to not, I don't know, be timid or fearful of trying something new and putting them in a situation where they can be successful. So I think it's really hard on the kids that have really never played volleyball but they want to try out in 7th grade. That's a hard move.
Right. And that's, I'm sure, hard too, when it's like, if they are joining a team where everybody has been playing for 5 years, and they're new at it, but
you want them to love something. And so whatever that love is, you just got to foster that.
How do you see moms best support their student athletes? And like, when can it cross the line into pushing?
Yeah.
I think, I, again, coming from like a arts background, like, we would call that a stage mom that can maybe like, we're going to maybe make it where we're putting a little too much pressure. Like, kind of talk about that a little bit. When can we maybe go too far?
And I think as long as kind of the rule in our house is, as long as you're having fun, we're okay. And so the second that it becomes not fun and it's more of a job or a chore, something's got to change, whether that's mom and dad, the kid, the sport itself. I think that for me is the breaking point, because if they're passion filled and having fun, you can push. Do you want to go to a private lesson? Do you want to go to this camp? Do you, you provide more opportunities when there's passion that is evident. If you're like pushing them out the door to go to practice, there's an issue, So, I think you just got to find that balance and always make sure that it's fun. And, it's fun to talk about. We talk a lot of volleyball in our house. But sometimes you need to do other things and talk about other things. And we get so laser focused sometimes on what the kids are doing and are they successful? Are they the best? All of those things that we strive for as parents, what we want for our kids. But sometimes we have to live in reality, in that all of our kids are not going to be the very best, but that doesn't mean that they can't be successful in the sport.
Oh, I love that. Well, and I think, sometimes even their talent is there. But you're exactly right. Like, even if they might be very good at something, but that doesn't necessarily mean they love doing that. And I've seen over and over again, whether it's in my own home or friends of mine, that it's like, if over the years, their kids' passion for something might fade away. And as a parent, you might be going like, no, but you're so good at this. It's like, you're wanting to push them. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't always mean, that doesn't equal that this is what they desire. This might not be what they want.
And I feel like for us, I mean, obviously, Brooklyn's a varsity athlete who plays, year round. Drew plays year round. I constantly say, do you need a break? Do you need a break? And I want them to be honest with me. I want a very open line of communication, because you don't want them to resent you for making them do something that they don't want to do. You don't want them to not love the sport or love what they're doing. So,
well, how can you tell, whether it's in your own house, like as a mom, or even just when you're looking at your players on your team, what are some signs that you can like kind of recognize that maybe one of your players has too much on their plate?
I think obviously fatigue is probably one of the big signs, and that's mental fatigue as well. So I know for us as coaches, they're expected to go from 7:30 in the morning until 2:00 in school, grinding away at their homework, at their quizzes, at their tests, trying to get ahead for the next day. And then we expect a solid 2 hours of being focused, on point. And sometimes as a coach, you have to take a moment, say, go get a water break, or do you need a snack? Or, like, what do we need to do to get you in the right frame of mind to be successful at what you're doing? So I think you just, again, it's communication. It's reading your kids, knowing, like, man, they practiced until 9:30 last night, and I'm asking them to come back up at 6 this morning. Like, how much am I pushing them too much? And that's a conversation at Tompkins that we have within our staff all the time of, like, when do they need a break? Just trying to prevent the burnout. You got to have fun. If you're not having fun and you're getting stressed, your body's breaking down, whatever it is, you got to take some time.
Well, and that will affect so many other areas. It's a trickle down, and it'll affect
absolutely.
There's grades. It'll affect their relationships. It'll, it can affect your body. It can affect so much. So I love that y'all pay attention to that. We got a question, and I thought this was interesting. Said, my child has played a sport for years and their teammates continue to excel and get better, but my child seems to be struggling season after season. How do we know as parents if we should help them get better and keep training and persevere through that? Or if maybe this sport just isn't maybe their thing?
You see, especially if you play volleyball and you play volleyball year round, you're going to see kids maybe who are newer to the sport. You're going to see them take these huge giant leaps. And then you're saying, why is my kid not making that leap? As parents, that we can do is not play this comparison game of this kid versus my kid, in all aspects of sports. But the kid is in love with the game, and they really want, this is my drive, this is my passion, this is what I want to do. You get on private lessons. You do, all the things, some speed, agility training, whatever it may be, that they are in need of, and give them that opportunity, and hopefully they start to excel or see growth in those areas that they need to. I think, again, a lot of times when a kid doesn't see the growth that they need to, and it's over an extended amount of time, they're going to kind of lose some interest as far as, like, I don't know if I really want to play volleyball anymore, or, whatever sport it is. And nobody likes to be beat out. Nobody likes to not be, feel like they are successful.
Sure.
But I think if those conversations are happening, you have to kind of really sit down and think, is this really what is in the best interest of my kid? Is there something else they could do to fulfill that self-confidence, to be successful? It has to be communication between parent and athlete. And it can't be, as soon as you play a game and you lost or you won, and it's this high emotional thing, you got to step back, give it a day, and then have some conversation about where you are. You can't rush into emotional decisions about this kind of stuff.
That's so wise to not do it like both in the highest of high, because like if you win, then you're going to be like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my whole life, and I never want to quit.
Right.
And and again, if you just have an epic loss, or you missed a shot and everyone is mad at you, then you don't ever want to, that's not the time to be like, I quit, I'm done, I'm out.
Right.
Well, I also wanted to mention, because I know obviously like you're in the thick of volleyball season right now, but in the summer, talk real quick about your volleyball camp in the summer. I want you to mention that.
Absolutely. This last summer, we offered Merrell Volleyball Camp for 3rd grade through 6th grade. We offered 2 different weeks of that. And we also offered kindergarten through 2nd grade in 1 week. Man, those kids have my heart. I mean, like, as much as it's like, herding cats sometimes, it's about, can they fall in love with the game?
Yeah.
And can we spark the interest that they want to keep learning? And so, number one, it's got to be a whole heck of a lot of fun, and we got to keep them moving, and we got to, I can't tell you, like, even as kinder and 1st grade, 2nd grade, there's light bulb moments in those, 4 days of like, oh my gosh, this is how you pass the volleyball, you know? So it's
I love
super fun.
that.
It just fills my cup. Those 2 weeks of just pouring into the kids. It's really, I obviously I love volleyball and I love the high school age, but there's nothing like the elementary, that just light bulb moments that happen right in front of you. And you're like, you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
And you don't often, I'm sure, get to like teach the very basic fundamentals of volleyball. I mean, you get girls that come to you that are already players, you know, and to like get people coming to you that you're like, this is how you, you know, my daughter, she did a volleyball unit just in PE in school. And she came to me, she's like, Mom, do you know that you don't hit it with this part? You hit it with your arm? I was like, yes, I actually do know that. But she was so excited to me. She was like, look, I think she's always thought that you hit it like kind of with your thumb. So I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, one of the coolest things about camp is that my graduating seniors, or maybe a year out of graduating, they come back and they want to pour into the babies. And it's like,
I love that.
It's so amazing to watch the older girls just pour into them and be like, oh my gosh, I was like this, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really fun. It's such a family fun week. You know,
That's
for
precious.
me, it's like the alum are back and it's just amazing.
I love it.
Amazing.
Well, we will put a link in our show notes to like that, and we'll make sure like next summer we'll mention it too. But thank you so much for talking with us.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
Yes,
it's so fun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck with the rest of your season. We'll be following it.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was really cool. I don't know if I mentioned to you before that I used to coach volleyball, and so like I love hearing about volleyball. I love everything about it. So yeah, that was very cool.
Someone that is so passionate about what they do is, I just love hearing people talk about what they love. Yeah. And speaking of passionate people, we're going to go right into our next interview, which we're going to talk to a coach of a different kind. We're going to talk to a dance teacher, a dance coach. And you might be thinking, well, dance, that is not a sport. Well, let's listen to what Rachel Berry has to say about that. Rachel has over 30 years of experience in all styles of dance, including tap, jazz, ballet, and hip hop. She's a studio trained dancer. She has competed at competitions at a regional and national level. She is a former Tyler College Apache Belle and has served on their alumni board. She earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Central Oklahoma, where she was a member of their pom squad.
Are you serious? I went to UCO.
Oh, well, look at that. She is currently the competition director at Julie Hawley School of Dance, where she has taught for over 15 years. She continues to teach and choreograph and judge for dance teams across the Houston area. She has won multiple choreography awards for her work, and she loves sharing her passion for dance while instilling a hard work ethic in her students. She and her husband, Parker, live in Katy, along with their daughters, Emma and Lizzie. So I'm excited that y'all have that connection.
That is so weird.
I know, that's so funny. Well, let's play that interview with Rachel, and I think you're going to learn a lot if you don't already know about the sport of dance. So here's Rachel. Hey, Rachel, thanks so much for being with us today.
Super excited to be here. My pleasure.
Well, we are talking about kids in sports and being the mothers of kids in sports, which first of all, you have 2 kiddos. How old are your girls?
Yeah, my girls are 10 and 6.
Okay, fun.
So very active, busy little girls.
Yes. And you are a dance teacher, a dance coach. And I think what some of our listeners might be thinking, like, well, that is not a sport. And would you like to correct them on maybe what makes a dancer an athlete? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, dancers definitely have to have some athletic ability, you know, but when I think athlete, you know, I think strength, power, agility, body awareness, muscle awareness, and just raw, you know, muscular movement type things. So a lot of things go into dance, but a lot of it does have to do with your athletic ability in a lot of ways. The power and the training and the muscular structure and the work that you have to put in just into your body in order to do some of those movements absolutely is everything, you know,
Yes.
taking care of your body, especially as an adult dancing, you know, your body's getting older, it doesn't respond, it doesn't recover as quickly. So you really have to think of yourself as a trained professional athlete, because you have to focus on your nutrition, you have to focus on your rest, your recovery, your you know, your muscle endurance. And so
they
all of
put
that
in
is
the
definitely
workouts. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, it's not just dance class. I mean, they're putting
absolutely. Yeah, a lot of resistance and a lot of strength training. You know, the older I get, you know, just to continue teaching dance, I find that I really have to take care of my body even more than when I was younger, you know.
You know, I've heard some people say, oh, I'm going to wait and put my daughter in, or my child in, when they're older. Like, what do you think is like the ideal age that a child should begin taking dance?
I think it's all dependent on the child. I do think that, as we know, as moms, every kid is different. I would say the age between 4 and 6, you know. I'm not really sure how much, you know, dance training is going to be retained, you know, from that early on. But I do think there's so many great things about starting your child as early as possible. Getting them on the stage, you know, it's a different, being in the studio is one thing, but when, you know, we have a recital every year, you know, and they have to get on the stage and they have to be under those lights and there's people in the audience and they have to know when to go on and when to go off. And so there's a lot of things that, that go along with, you know, quote unquote, being in dance or being a dancer, other than just going weekly, you know, and taking class. But, you know, you have to be potty trained. You have to be able to follow simple instructions and, you know, and just some basic things. So definitely, but I do think that you know, that any kind of introducing kids to music, you know, and movement can always it's always beneficial, you know, it's always important to develop that side of the brain, for children of, you know, as early as 4. So that's what I recommend.
Well, and I'm not a dancer, but I do have a music background. And I think starting kids early too, it helps them develop that feeling a beat and feeling a rhythm, you know, and like understanding, like, you know, to be able to count on beat and things like that. I think because sometimes you feel like as they get older, sometimes I know it can, but sometimes I feel like that can't be taught. There's I know some grown men that just can't clap on a beat. And I know. Okay, come on.
I know. And find the one. They couldn't find it if they had a magnifying glass, for sure.
This was a question that came in, which was, someone asked, my child takes dance, they're 7 years old. And I love this mother's honesty. She said, they're just not very good. Can that skill develop over time? Can a bad dancer at age 7 become a good dancer, or should we just move on to something else?
You know, what is your expectation? You know, what is your expectation? Is your daughter enjoying herself? Is she coming out of class crying? Is she in a class where maybe the dancers are not kind of on or even around her same level? Is she in a class of younger? Is she in a class of older? You know, what instruction is being taught? You know, is she being taught developmentally, you know, starting, and then the next week they're building, the next week they're building? I mean, I don't think you can really peak at 7. And I don't think really you can say, hey, this is not for me at 7. I think you just have to give, you know, just kind of have that conversation with your daughter. Like, wow, I see that you really love dance, or I'm really kind of feeling that I see you don't love dance, you know, so would you like to try something else? Or, so I think it really just depends on the situation. I mean, at 7, this is like a first grader we're talking about. And that mind-body connection has not quite fully made it there yet. That body awareness, that spatial awareness, you know, this is the front of my body. This is the side of my body. This is where I turn over my right shoulder. Do they know their right from their left? I mean,
other right.
My first grader cannot even tie her shoes yet. I'm like, come on, you've got to tie your shoes, you know, so we're working on it. But so I think that's a huge, you know, I think just kind of write it out, see how they do. If they're having a good experience and it's good in any way, then I think value can be added to their life by being in dance. But I don't want it to be a negative experience. So if she's coming out of there crying every week, then, you know, maybe ask her, say, hey, you're struggling. It's okay. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time. You know, keep working hard, keep trying. I mean, those are the lessons that I think a 7-year-old kind of needs to not learn, but hear, you know.
As moms, I think you want your kid to you want your kid to have fun, you want them to do well. You
Yeah.
also, I know as parents, when you watch your kids play sports, you also don't want to waste time and money. Sometimes
Absolutely.
you're like, are we just like forking out
Yeah.
money in a situation? They're like, this isn't good for my kid. This isn't good for
Yeah.
the, whatever, the coach that's coaching them in
Yeah.
basketball when my kid hasn't made
Sure.
a basket in 3 years. You start to
Sure.
go like, where do you
Sure.
draw the line? But I also think there's such a hard spot too of wanting to persevere and
Yeah.
encourage your kid to go keep trying, keep trying, keep trying.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard to know sometimes.
It really
like,
is.
when, and I think coaches sometimes don't know how to say like, this is not for you.
Well, honestly, Jen, I think that's one of the things about dance that I think can be so great, because
Mhm.
like at the beginning of this conversation, we talked about the athletic ability, but there's the whole flip side. There's that artistry, there's that joy, there's that performance, there's those
Mhm.
kids that just like to shake it and just have fun. And I think that dance can really appeal to both. You have those kids that like want to feel that challenge, they want to do those cool tricks, and you have kids that are like, I just want to get out there and just
Have a
hip
ball.
hop or just emotionally connect. So I think that there's so many good, there's just
Mhm.
not one way, and there's not one type of dancer, and I think that that's important to remember.
I also wanted to ask a little bit about boys in dance. I know that obviously, if you look at probably the average dance studio, you're going to have a higher quantity of girls than boys. But I do know that boys are taking, and I know that there are incredibly talented boys who take dance, and their abilities to what they are able to do is, so some of the skills they're doing are very different than what girls are doing. And I just kind of wanted you to speak a little bit to, if there is a mom out there that's like, hey, my kid seems really talented in this, like, where is their place right now? Like, kind of where do you think that they are excelling in? And what is your kind of overview of boys in dance?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I love it. Boys and men have obviously different body composition. So it's nice to be able to do fun, different things. I would be very careful on studio selection. You don't want your son dancing in a way that may not, in my opinion, be the male role. So if you, I think boys, in dance can offer like just a cool dynamic.
Right.
But I think that I think it's great. I'm all for guys in dance. I love some of my favorite dancers are male dancers.
Yeah.
Gregory Hines, Savion Glover, Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire. I mean, come on. Like, just to name a few. Incredible.
I love that. And I think I'll see boys that do tap, and I'm like, that is just the coolest. Like, that's a good party trick to
yeah, and hip hop, boys love hip hop. It's just fun, and it's exciting, and and if boys want to do dance, I think they should totally, be allowed, not only allowed, but like encouraged, because that means that they're wanting to fuel that side of them, that creative side. And I think that it's awesome. Yeah.
I love that. Well, how do you feel like, I know you've been in dance, we talked about in your introduction, for 30 years or more. How do you feel like dance has changed? Like, especially for kids, based on, let's even call it 15 years ago till now. I mean, this wasn't a question I prepared you for, but
no, that's okay.
As far as like, as a parents, and, I know you have a child or two children in dance. Is there anything that you feel like that we are doing really well with kids in dance right now, or things that you wish we would be doing better at with our dancing kiddos?
Yeah. I not only teach where I teach for a reason, but my kids take dance at the studio where I teach for a reason. So I would say that dance is getting a little bit away from the artistry. And it's really focusing on more like that athletic side we talked about earlier. And I think the beauty of dance is that it has to be a blend, and there has to be, not only am I teaching kids dance, but I'm trying to teach them like a love of music and a love of dance history and just a love of the arts in general. And so when you are only teaching to just the athletic side, or only to the kids that only have that strength and that certain body type or that athletic ability, then I think you're really missing what dance is all about. Dance is about connection and performing, and it's just it's interesting because kids are getting burned out by the age of 9 and 10 because all they've done is focused on tricks, or they've only done this style, and they're not being exposed to musical theater jazz, and they're not being exposed to tap. I mean, there are literally studios in the area that do not teach tap, and that's insane to me. Like that's so foundational to me. Like that's just so different. There's more than one way for sure, but but there's so much I think being missed out. Our parents, I think that come to our studio, they are not focused on an award won at a competition, or they are not focused on how many turns their daughter can do. They are focused on, I want them to have a good education. I want them to learn how to dance. I want them to learn different styles and different music and learn how to move their bodies in a way that is impressive and important. And yes, tricks are important, but I mean, we were just talking about, how kids have no idea, like their right from their left, or what muscles. And I mean, I remember getting older, like high school age, and really starting to do some of those harder skills that really takes a lot of muscle and stability and core and body control. And I mean, I was hitting the gym. I mean, I was working out to help me with my skills. And I don't know how many 8, 9, 10-year-olds, should be going to the gym, but there's also things that, learning at a young age, that the reason I think it's also important to dance, if you want to dance and get in there early, like we talked about, but the more you can learn about your body, musicality, and the sooner you can learn how to work that plie and point those feet and stretch those arms and use all that kind of stuff, then later on, it's just all that extra stuff, like the sprinkles on the cake are those tricks to me.
You have it in there already.
Yeah, like it's already in your toolbox. So I think that we're just getting really away from, and I think just as a whole, we're getting away from age appropriateness, whether it be with music, whether it be with costuming, whether it be with choreography. I mean, yeah. So I think
understood.
So
yeah,
anyway.
we've all seen the video a time or two. Yeah. We're like, wow. Well,
that's unfortunate for me, that as someone that grew up in dance and looks only back at her childhood as it being awesome. Now, did I ever leave dance sometimes frustrated and crying? Yeah, because I cared, and I was and I was just that kind of kid. So yeah, but I look back at dance, as a kid, and it was just some of the best times of my life. And I didn't peak at the age of 10, because I had learned everything that, is humanly possible to do with my body,
And then hurt yourself in the process, and now you are injured and you can't do anything else after that, I love that. Well, this has been amazing. And I want you to tell everyone, where can they follow your dance studio? Like what's name your studio, and kind of tell us where we can follow everything there.
Yeah. So I teach dance at Julie Holly School of Dance in Katy, kind of on Highway 90 past Katy High School. I've been there for, I want to say 16, almost 17 years now. Miss Julie, the owner, is incredible. Shout out to Miss Julie. Facebook is JHSOD, and then the Instagram is the same, JHSOD. So
great. Well, we will link that in the show notes.
Yeah.
But this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey.
So that was Rachel, and she has just so many great things to say about dance. Every time I talk to her about dance, I learn something new that I never knew before. And it's just really cool to hear someone that's been in an industry for as long as she has. talk about things that like you kind of don't know about a world that you're not in until you're in
Yeah.
it, you know? So
Yeah,
it's really cool.
it's funny. I've been watching Dance Moms lately. I've been having like little marathons, and I've been having a blast watching those kids and like watching them grow up and their technique and all that. So it's kind of fun and serendipitous that we're talking to a dance teacher. And the fact that she's a UCO Bronco, she's got my heart.
Well, good. I'm gonna have to introduce y'all. I know y'all will be fast friends.
Yes.
Well, okay, so we're going to talk about our favorite things on the Houston Moms website this week. So what is something that you really enjoyed or was powerful to you this week?
So my house blend pick for this week is we have a collection post of all the posts Houston moms have done over the last 5 years regarding Hurricane Harvey. So we're right at that 5-year mark, and we're all still going through a lot of the after effects of it. And so it was just kind of nice to go back and think about where we were and where we've come now. And then so I did that collection post, and then one of our contributors, Sean, just did a reflections on Harvey post, and she shared a lot of her journey and her her experience with Harvey. And so it was just really kind of interesting to see that whole transition over the past 5 years. So that was a crazy, devastating time for us all, but here we are 5 years later.
I know, it's amazing that it's been 5 years, and this time of year is always crazy because my memories, like on like the apps, the social apps, will like start to fill in and tell me like things I was saying that day, and it's always like a kind of a painful time, and you can like feel that anxiety start to rise back up again. So, really important post. Well, my favorite post this week, also very important, was Mary wrote a post called "It's Time to Crash Diet Culture." And I'm just loving that we as women especially, and I know this affects men as well, but as women especially, we are kind of waking up to this idea that we don't have to do all of these things that we were kind of fed. All the you would get these magazines that would tell you to do all these things. And just this morning I read that last year there was a congressman who his wife passed away rather suddenly, and an autopsy report has revealed that she was severely dehydrated, and they found in her system a white tea leaf, which is like an herbal supplement that people will take sometimes to. I mean, it was like she ingested like a fully, like it wasn't like a pill form. Like it seemed like it was like an actual leaf. And I just was thinking about, like, I've done stuff like that before, where like if I have like a wedding coming up or something, and I'm like, I need to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days, or and you like get online and you look up things, and it makes me sad that we feel like we have to do things like that. And anyways, after reading Mary's post earlier this week and then reading that article this morning, it just made me sad for this woman, and it made me sad for her family. And I absolutely think we can free ourselves from that. So that's a really great article from
absolutely. It's very important. All right, so every episode we wrap up with our see you later caffeinator. Jenny, do you have one for us?
Yes, I do. Just an interesting fact about kids in sports. Roughly 35 million children play youth sports each season. 35 million children are signed up to play, but a staggering 70% of kids quit playing by the age of 13. There's no like exact reason, because every child is different, but there are some are hypothesizing that it's whether it's pressure for the kids, or it's just not fun anymore. Or that there's just, it's burnout, that they get burned out because they go too hard too fast. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting. That 70% of them are done by the age of 13, and then it's just the kind of the remainder is those that are just real, the mega committed. But that is, well, we would love to hear your thoughts, and one thing we want to ask our listeners to do is subscribe to our show. That would be super helpful to us, is for you to hit subscribe and to even leave a review. And Apple Podcasts is always really helpful. Just
Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Button.
Check us out on YouTube if you like. Spread the word. I mean, we want to reach out to all Houston moms.
Yes. But we're thankful for our listeners, and we're thankful that we get to keep making this fun podcast. We enjoy making it, and we enjoy hearing from you guys. So hope you'll have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Cold Coffee Club, brought to you by Houston Moms. We wish you a fabulous week with your families and look forward to sharing many more cups of cold coffee with you.